Today I've decided to bring a panel on to talk about what the new normal is going to be. And one of the things that I was thinking about, guys, is what's the old normal from like 4 weeks ago? that's that's how, in short of a period of time, we have been so immensely thrown into something we've never experienced before. So as we've done so many podcasts on COVID-19 and coming through it and marketing for it and how to survive a downturn, so many people have been so willing to come on and share not only in Carmcast but in podcasts and in panel town hall academies. And I sure do appreciate it because I think the more information we get, the better will help us make some decisions. And for so many, we also belong to 20 groups and peer groups. And there isn't you're probably a phone call or an email away that you can get in touch with someone and run an idea by someone. So Carmcast basically have always been idea exchanges. So we welcome you to be here. Lunchtime here in the East Coast, second cup of coffee out in the great Pacific. Just want to, about halfway through, I'm going to tell you something that I am doing on Thursday, and I'll share that with you. But let's start. We're here to talk about the new normal. And you've probably thought, every time you put your head on the pillow at night, wake up in the morning, drive to work, what's business going to be like someday down the road? And that someday down the road is probably sooner than we all think. Thank you for being here. Vinny Lucido from Co-Auto Reno, Nevada. Andy Bizzup from Midwest Performance Cars. David Johnson from DJ Auto, Provo, Utah. And Ron Tinner is here from Sparks Tire and Auto, St. Charles, Missouri. David Johnson, let's start with you. Give us one of your thinks of what the new normal is going to be like.
Well, I'm hoping life doesn't change a whole lot, but one thing I have noticed is everybody is talking about it. And that gives us an opportunity to share. And if you have a business relationship model, this is an opportunity to reach out to your clients in a respectful way to let them know that we care about them and what we are doing in that process in order to be able to protect them. And you've probably seen a lot of shops advertising, well, we'll pick you up for free or drop off, we clean your cars. I mean, there's a rash of that right now. And I would say some of it might be a little over the top, but the marketers are pushing this hard. This never put a crisis to waste, I think, is a political term. And we're starting to see that. And so if we're respectful about that, we can have that work to our advantage to maintain our relationship with our clients. If that's the type of business you want, where your clients are concerned about you and you're concerned about them, and that's why I want my service advisors to just love to see the people come back in again, because once they have that feeling of friendship with their client base, then you do a different business than you would than the transactional model, which is very common in our industry. And so this is really an opportunity for us to seal those relationships with our clients. I've had probably 8 or 10 of my best clients just come in unannounced and drop the car off and say, Dave, I know it's tough, whatever you need to do, just take care of it. And if we have clients like that will stick with us in these hard times, we will be successful. But we need to continue to work on being that relationship model and not fall into the trap of too big, too fast to grow.
So it's a wake-up call, you're saying?
I think so.
Any of my panel want to talk to David, challenge his thoughts, agree with him, please be free to have a conversation with David.
I think those are great points. We're very relationship based. We did a couple things with donations to the medical community for the month of April. You would think at a lot of times like this, shops would be in a position where they feel they have to retrench and pull back. I just figured, April's going to be a lousy month, so let's go the other direction. And we're donating 5% of our gross revenue for the month towards a medical charity. And it's been fantastic because people are seeing that we're in a tough time. We're going out there and we're trying to do something to have some good come out of it. And just the really heartfelt response from people is it's amazing. It's doing exactly what I intended to do, was show people that we do care about them And I'm in the city, so it's not like there's no baseball team I can sponsor. That kind of community involvement when you're in an urban area is tough. This is a perfect opportunity for us to really deeply get into the community involvement, and it's paying off in spades. I mean, we've done 5 free nurse oil changes, and we've got 3 local hospitals around us, and we're starting to get just inundated with calls. So,
yep, I gotta agree with Andy. I mean, 100%. Now is the opportunity. That's the key word, is opportunity. And what can you take out of this? Not letting it affect you, but affecting it. And really, we're doing the same thing with our community and really engaging, letting them know that we're here to help you and reaching out that direction. We've done probably 10 oil services last week, and this week I have 27 appointments between Tuesday and Friday.
wow.
24 of those are free oil services. So,
And who are they going to, Vinny?
they're going to medical professionals, frontline, first responders, whether it's police, fire department, medical staff, caretakers. It's our caretakers car care program, and it has launched. Now, Anthony, my brother partner, made a great point to our staff that you can have these programs, you can give these things away, but if nobody knows about it, then what good is it? So sharing on the news, on the social media, that's where people's eyes are right now.
Mhm.
Very good. Thank you. Let's drop down one of the biggest new normals is a total rethink engagement with community. I think never before have we realized the danger that the frontline people are on, and it's not taking advantage of it. It's actually waking up to it, waking up to the fact
Right.
that we maybe didn't do enough in the community, or maybe we did. Like Andy said, he's in Chicago. I can't sponsor a ball club, but boy, there's a ton of hospitals here, and it's a new way to think community. Thank you so much for that, Vinny. I'll let you go next. What's the new normal going to look like for you?
Well, the new normal, I think a lot of it goes back to how we once were. Let's talk about contactless services. We've had that option. Have we used it like we should or could? Not necessarily. So now we're going to have opportunity to use those contactless service options. But being we're human, we like physical touch. In fact, it's something that's important to every human, is being in contact, in close contact with people. Energetically, we need to touch each other. So I don't think that's going to change too much, but I can feel that there will be a difference when you're standing at the grocery store. Maybe people stay out of your bubble a little bit more. When you're at a concert, maybe they give you a little bit more space. So I can see the new normal kind of providing everybody with a little bit more breathing room. I can see that happening on a large scale worldwide because every single person is affected by it.
He brings up such a great point. I have to tell a story. I was walking by the living room and was flipping channels, trying to find something. And she goes across a shopping channel, and there's 2 ladies standing right next to each other selling a product. And I stopped and I said, "Oh my God, what are they doing? They need to be practicing social distancing." Down on the bottom of the screen that I never saw in red, it said this was recorded before we were doing social distancing. So the TV people recognize that I or the viewer would just like what Vin said. What's going to go on today? You're going to go to a concert and every other seat's going to be taken, or every third. The tickets will be $500. Right?
Yeah.
In order to fill a stadium. We have, it's so amazing. Will that be part of the new normal? And here's the big deal, in my opinion, everyone, and you can comment on it later. How long will the new normal last before we go back to old normal? And I am wondering if in 2 years we look at COVID-19 as just something we went through and not that important. But let me please bring up one thing and challenge our thinking about viruses. I did some research on colds, colds, just plain and simple. 22 million school days lost. I got that from the CDC. It's a viral infection, no different than the coronavirus. Germs can live up to 3 hours sanitized, and we get 1 billion colds a year. Okay. Will we get less colds because we're going to get smarter about this than ever before? Will we be healthier? My new normal is going to say we're going to have less colds.
I think you're right. I think people will take more time to wash their hands. I know in the future, I used to never be a germaphobe, and not that I am now, but I certainly pay a little more attention to what I'm touching, when I'm touching it, and when I clean my hands afterward and touching my face. So all this awareness is going to create, ideally, a healthier world, but colds are still going to pass. People are still going to hug. People are still going to shake hands. Those things people will come back to, I think, within a few months. We're human. We're going to follow those rhythms, those habits that we have, and we haven't been away from it long enough, I think, to change it on a massive scale.
Thanks, Vinny. Good dialogue, everyone. We're here to talk about what the new normal is going to look like here in the automotive aftermarket. Andy, you got one?
Sure. So, kind of like benefits or government programs, it's really hard to take those away once they're put in place. So in a month or 2 months, how resistant are your customers going to be to having to actually drive their car into your shop and drop it off when you've been picking it up and delivering it back to them? I think that's going to be a real significant new normal. And it's something that will have to be built into the cost of doing business. So prices will have to go up because of that. It's a great benefit. My customers are absolutely loving it. I'm just got back. This is my mask. I just got back from picking up 2 cars this morning. Right. So that's going to be a new thing. How about the car dealerships that have spent $500,000 or $1 million on a beautiful marble, glass, and steel waiting room that may never be used again? How many people want to go sit in a waiting room anymore? And how about this? Everybody's talking about a lot more commuting, telework. Who's going to want to get on public transit and ride a train, ride a bus? We may see less driving because people working from home, but we may see more driving because people wanting to drive their own cars and feel safe in their own cars. So I think this could, for the survivors of this period, and I've been saying for several years that I thought it was a 5 to 8 year time frame for like the bottom 20% of shops around the country to close, just because of not investing, not moving ahead, not staying on the cutting edge. I think that time frame got compressed down to maybe 1 to 2 years now. For the survivors, there's going to be a lot of opportunity coming out of this because people really want services. People are getting used to getting their groceries delivered to them at home. A lot of people that didn't shop online are shopping online and seeing it's really, really easy to do. So I think there's a lot of this that becomes the new normal and does not go back.
Great point, Andy. I always can count on you to think this large, wide, and deep for us. Thank you. And if we're going to be picking up customers' cars, we need to market it as concierge service. And please, that's, just don't do it, market it. Right.
I think to Andy's point is that this was changing even before the virus came.
Mm-hmm.
Significantly.
Absolutely.
And so those shops that weren't stepping it up are now in a compressed time schedule. And that was there before the virus came. So it's healthy to recognize that and to move forward with those plans.
Another thing that Andy said is that there may be opportunity for shop owners that are in a perfect place and have been strategizing about growing to maybe pick themselves up, a second or third location because the opportunity will be there for someone to decide to say, hey, I'm out. We've talked about it on the show before. If you're not making it and you're really struggling and you just really have a job, you don't really have a business, do something about it. There's a ton of shop owners that would want to be hiring so many talented technicians and service advisors that may not be great business people. So yes, you're right, Andy. I think there's opportunities out there. Ron Tinner, how about you?
To touch on a little bit of what everybody's been hitting on, I got to say that early on in this pandemic, as we're supposed to call it, we continued our daily, weekly videos. Our marketing stream didn't slow down at all to our clients. And I got attacked a little bit on social media by some other business people about using this as a ploy. But I had a few of my clients really jump on board and say, hey, you know, this man is always wipe down cars when we're done. We're not germaphobes, but we're clean freaks. I want a car returned as clean as possible. So we've wiped down cars for years. That's not something new because of the pandemic. We've picked up and delivered cars for years. That's not something new. Of course, as Andy touched on, guys who haven't done it are going to have to charge for it. Well, that's part of our business. It's already built in price wise, so we do it when we have to, which is consistent. I do find that the guys who think I was out of line doing what I was doing when this all first started didn't realize we've always had those videos. We've always reached out to clients that way. Those are the guys that are compressed right now. Those are the guys that are going to fall by the wayside because they didn't see this coming 2 years ago. I didn't see the pandemic coming, but the need for clients to get their car serviced without having to leave their home has existed for years. We just had to figure out how to make it happen. I do agree. That is the new norm. It is no doubt you're going to have cars. I've always joked about when Teslas would show up with no driver. The difference is that we're going to go pick up the ones that can't drive themselves here. Customers are going to want to leave their homes just to get their cars fixed. It's an opportunity, hands down, to blow your business up if you were ready for it.
Thanks, Ron. Hey, listen, there's a lot of comments going on Facebook. We are monitoring them. All of us can see it. When we're done, we'll do Matt next, and then we'll go back and we'll handle a few of the comments that we see from Facebook. Matt, I'm glad you had a chance to join us. Matt Fonslow, shop manager, Riverside Automotive, Red Wing, Minnesota. Hey, Matt.
How's it going?
Good, man.
I had to work on the link to get here, but I guess the quote unquote new normal is going to be phases, right? Nothing's going to go back to anything until we either come up with a treatment, vaccine, or the antibodies, whatever various treatments might come out to knock down this mortality rate. But some of the stuff I heard, there's double-edged swords. One thing about being clean freaks, that's a double-edged sword. If we all become clean freaks and we're sanitizing all the time, long-term repercussions is we're hurting our immune systems because we really do need to interact with germs. Now, maybe not the coronavirus so much, but it's very important for us to encounter less lethal and types of viruses, bacteria. So that's a double-edged sword, at least in a personal life. From a business standpoint, we have to be sensitive to what's going on. We have to have our fingers on the pulse of the current environment, and that is to be wearing masks, if not for our own health. If we still have a service advisor sitting out front, if not for their own health, but to show sensitivity to our clients that we're putting the mask on for you. And I think that's going to trend as we come to grips with this, and then certain things will go away. I'm a little concerned about, I don't want to go like political or anything, but I am very concerned about the government involvement, not just with stimulus packages, but also taking more and more control with our data, tracking us. That's some stuff to be very concerned about. I think over time, we need to get more and more active in politics before the big votes. Not just showing up for the presidential election, but being involved early on to get people that want to normal.
Local politics.
Local, state, national, everything. I mean, we're going to have to become more active if we want to get back to where we were or better. It's just the reality. It doesn't matter which side you're on. We have to get active. We have to get candidates that actually reflect us.
Yep.
And
well, thank you for becoming political for us, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a dangerous place to go, but it's the reality.
I've interviewed Matt a lot. He's done a lot on the podcast, and I think this is your first dip in the deep end of the pool on politics. Interesting.
Usually try to avoid it.
A couple of comments here or mentions here in social media. Kim Arnheimer. Hi, Kim. We have gone back to
I can.
grassroots marketing to keep our schedule full. And so when Kim says grassroots marketing, and Kim, I'm only trying to guess, are we picking up the phone and doing a care call with customers? Are you guys doing any of that?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And you've
Just
always done it, or will that be part of the new normal?
phone
Oh,
calls have always been part of our business. So now it's not just business driven, it's just checking in on them, making sure everybody's all right. If it turns into an appointment, great. If it doesn't, so be it.
Yeah, offering the help, letting them know that you're a resource, that you're a transportation resource, that we'll go shopping for you resource, the care resource that once this is all over, they're going to look back and say, you know, this company really stood out because this will pass. And if you're one of those ones that are going above and beyond and really offering your support, you really need support right now. They like to see you're doing that. So calling and texting and emailing that you can simply help out has been very successful.
Thank you for that. One of the things that I want to say, I want to contribute to this. What I have heard is the shops that have a percentage of fleet business are really doing well, because if the fleet's in a semi downtime, they may not be delivering groceries and critical need, but they've gone out, they've gone face to face, they've picked up the owner picked up the phone and says, hey, listen, we're an essential business. You may be closed or open, I don't know, but we need to be sure that when this thing does get turned on again, your vehicles are on the road, safe and reliable. And they've got schedules for 1.5 weeks by having that fleet business. And I think that may be part of the new normal for many shop owners is fleet. Any of you guys have a decent amount or a 20-30% fleet?
We don't have that amount, but I agree with your prediction as we move forward into the automation, self-driving cars. If you're not into the fleets that are servicing those, you're gone. And in our marketing, my goal is to not have a client call here unless their car is broken down. We should be pre-scheduling all the maintenances, all the services, letting them know that we will contact them, that they don't have to worry about their car, and pre-schedule all these services. And it's a difficult task. We've been trying to do this for years in our industry. And the better we are at that, the better we can manage our workflow, manage our technician load and our technician costs to be able to do that. And that's what's killing a lot of shops right now is they don't have anybody showing up because they didn't set appointments 6 months ago for follow-up. Raise your hands if you've done that out there. You know it. You didn't set that appointment and now you got nothing to do. Had you set those appointments, had you pre-sold that maintenance service or that repair on the previous visit, you would be busy right now because they will come in if they think their car's ready for service. If you've made that commitment, if you had the relationship with them, now they might reschedule on you because they're afraid to come down because you didn't, wipe your front door off. But if you don't have at least a 25 to 30% basis of pre-scheduled, you're going to be in trouble. And right now, ask yourself why. It's a system and process that we haven't done as shop owners to have those appointments like Kim talked about. We need to get out and call them and remind them, hey, that appointment's for next week. Do you want to reschedule that, or we come pick up your car? I mean, we have to have a continuous conversation with our clients. And I think
Excellent.
That's where the new normal is going to be.
Excellent. Thank you. We're already 20-some minutes in, but I really do want to quickly go and give each of you an opportunity to give us one more view, the view that you have of the new normal. This Thursday, I'm going to be hanging out on the Napa Auto Care Facebook group with my friend Vin Waterhouse, and we're going to do some exclusive training just for the Napa Auto Care people at noon this Friday, just to let anyone know. I thank you for that. Around the room one more time. Let's start in reverse. Matt, you got one more, the new normal for us? Want to go second?
I don't know if it's so much new. The problem is I think it's not so much new. Everything Dave said is 100% true. We just had to be prepared, and there's a lot of these tools get talked about for the last 3 years on the Remarkable Read Results Radio podcast. And if we follow them, we attend training, and we put these into practice, I'm not saying we're not hurting right now, but we're not hurting as bad as some of the others that weren't as prepared. So I guess, the new normal is, if you want to survive the new normal to get back to normal, it's time to wake up and start getting prepared. And that might be, as a manager or owner, binge listening through the podcasts, attending as much training as you can.
Online or leader led?
It'll be online for a while, right? And then virtual 20 groups, start getting networked, start making connections, start learning to be a better manager, owner. And then take this opportunity, if you are a little slower, maybe you've taken advantage of some of the resources provided by the government for employee income aid. Take some of that time to make improvements around the shop, be it physical or training. Train your techs so that when we start coming out of this and you weather the storm, you're better than when you went in. How great would that be?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of the thoughts that I had that I just want to challenge our thinking here, and you brought one of them up, Matt, about training and, be online leader led. And I think you're going to all have to rethink a combination of all of that. We used to all have open houses for the marketplace, be it a women's car care clinic. How does that figure in someday? Will our waiting rooms be waiting rooms, or will they be shut down? Again, that's a thought of what the new normal could or would look like, especially if you don't need a big enough area because you're doing concierge pickups. Financial rethinking. I can't help but think that understanding your financial statement bigger, better than ever, building that rainy day fund by using the profit first modeling, which we've done podcasts on. And last week we did a show on the virtual service advisor. And, I can visually see having a part-time person taking stress off that counter by having someone working from home with all the technology keeping them connected to the place. And then, of course, we talked about a community earlier. But thank you, Matt. Great stuff. Ron, a second one for us?
Yeah, thanks for the segue. Profit first, hands down. If you don't have a coach, get a coach. I would tell you that for me, having been prepared for a disaster made this a lot easier. We've been able to retain all employees. We're actually looking at some applications. There's a lot of great guys out there, and we've all talked for years about the shortage. Well, a lot of good guys got cut loose in this, so we're going to take advantage of that. But we were prepared financially so we can do that. So I would say the new norm needs to be a lot of shop owners, get yourself financially prepared, because this will not be the last disaster we deal with. And it'd be great to come out of this on the upswing instead of the downside. So for me, I hope a lot of owners take heed to that and do get themselves financially ready for the next one that comes 24, 36 months from now, because it's coming. We just got to be ready for it.
Good point, Ron. And even if they don't, even if it doesn't come, it may again someday, even a natural disaster. But the beauty of it is to be able to see the cash you could amount. And in my opinion, that's financial strength. That's sleeping long and hard every night, knowing that you've got that financial capabilities sitting in the bank. Andy, how about you? Another one?
Yeah, thanks, Ron, for the segue with the staffing. So around me, all the dealers cut about 50% of their people. First sign of the shutdown. We have not cut anybody. Same as Ron, we're also considering looking at hiring people, right? So put that out there, not only to your customers, but put that out there in the technician community around you. You were the guy who retained all your employees. You were the guy who stayed loyal to your people when the crap hit the fan. That's not going to be lost on a good technician who is going to return the same thing. My guys are so thankful that they're not filing for unemployment. That is a big thing. When guys are saying, geez, should I go to that nice dealership with the epoxy floors, or should I go to the place that's going to stick by me when, if the chips are down? So that would be my new normal for staffing.
Thank you for that. I saw something on the news this morning about each of the different governors wanting to bring their economy on at their pace, not at a national level. And the Pennsylvania governor got on and he said, listen, if Carvana can come in and sell cars in Pennsylvania, then why can't our dealerships be open? And so if Carvana is the new normal, and I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying it's some technology that was created, some from genius minds, in my opinion, but they somehow seem to be an essential business and not a car dealership. And I throw that out there because that's some forward future think that who would have thought, where the governor had a handle on something like that. So, wow, talk about changing times. Thank you, Matt, Ron, Andy. How about you, Vinny? One more?
Well, thank you, Carm, for the opportunity to share my opinion on this new norm. And, keeping engagement with your community and building relationships, I think, is going to be more normal for people, knowing that relationships and people are what drive your business. So in order to keep business going during these uncertain times, you need to have more relationships and know more people. But also just keeping and, taking action right now, looking for those opportunities. And when you see them, jumping on them, because it's an amazing opportunity to find those techs, to find those service advisors that were let off. Maybe you acquire a contact list from a shop that couldn't make it. So searching for staff, upgrading your current staff, filling your chute with a line of new technicians that are knocking at your door. Since you're right now the ones that are succeeding in these dark times. So it's kind of where I see the new norm.
It's a great point, and a bunch of you have brought this up about, and Andy, about the opportunity to hire. Think about this. If in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, in my opinion, there's going to be even more available to hire.
Right.
And why I say that is if they didn't make it now and they're struggling through, and even when it gets turned back on, the business is going to be in a different position. It's going to be weaker, and some really good talent may not want to hang around. So my point is that your hiring shingle, again, you should be recruiting, hiring every day. I would be sure that you're very, very offensive and aggressive on putting up that shingle and telling the world that you're hiring, because you're always wanting to find great resumes. Thank you for that, Vinny. David?
Well, Andy mentioned it. He says that the dealerships got the trigger and they started laying people off right away. I can't imagine that being the first thought in my mind, is to lay off my friends and family. That is not where I have my perspective. And I'm going to quote a industry expert from 20 years ago. Becky Witt said this, 3 words: soap, light, and paint. We should be thinking about what we can do with our technicians, if there's not a car to work on there, to get this place cleaned up and looking like we have always wanted it to be. And if there's not enough money in the reserves to contemplate that, then there's a problem. So the answer is right over my shoulder here. We need to raise our rates so that we have that reserve, so that when we have a slow day or two, then we can assess the projects that all the shops need to do. I mean, everyone raise their hand if they need to clean their shop today. I mean, there's not a shop out there that doesn't need spot checked. And so the perspective of saying, hey, what are my guys going to do today, shouldn't be, am I going to send them home, or am I going to be productive in our shop to build this company to where we want it to be? So it's a perspective. But you have to have, it's difficult to be generous when you're poor.
Wow. It's difficult to be generous when you're poor. Wow. Okay, so I've got to raise my labor rates. I'm going to do concierge service. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that in the new normal. And so you just start tacking on. I mean, you can do the math to make that work, but you're right. Coming out of this, meaning that you're going to have to make some big, bold decisions. And I know you can, and I know you all want to be survivors, but you've just got to do it. You've got to get that. I go back to, who mentioned the coaching? Ron, it was probably you that mentioned, you got to get a coach. And to me, the biggest, most valuable part of having a coach is he's going to hold you accountable. And, you know, people could argue the fact, well, I don't want to get a coach because he wants to tell me what to do. Yes, you want someone to tell you what to do. Now, if you don't do it, it's your fault. But at least come up with a framework. And by the time you're done with the goals of the month, you actually accomplished a few that you would have never done before.
Right.
And that's just, to me, that's one of the greatest values of a coach. Hey, look, this was great. We could have probably gone on for another hour. A lot of great comments on Facebook. I'm going to do a part 2 probably one day next week with another group of auto service professionals. I thank you so much to Vinny Lucido from Co-Auto, Reno, Nevada, Andy Bizub, Midwest Performance Cars in Chicago, Matt Fonslow, shop manager, Riverside Automotive, David Johnson, DJ Auto, Provo, Utah, and Ron Tinner, Sparks Tire and Auto, St. Charles, Missouri. Thank you all. Hey, when I end here, stay here in the studio so we can do a wrap up. And thank you all for being on Facebook. Sure do appreciate it, everyone. I hope you learned something. At least some of the comments said you did.
Thank you, Carm.
Have a great week.
Thank
Talk
you,
soon.
Carm.